John continues with chapter 7. After these things, Jesus walked in Galilee, for he would not walk in Jewry or Judea, because the Jews sought to kill him. Then it goes right into the Feast of Tabernacles was at hand. But if you remember, Mark 6:56, it says, wherever he went, in the villages or cities or country. So he's traveling a lot. So this statement that he only stayed in Galilee should not come yet. And Luke says, it came to pass he was alone praying, says, who am I? Then it goes right into the Transfiguration. The Transfiguration is in Matthew and Mark, but both of them have a whole lot more stuff before that come to pass. They speak about the Pharisees coming to ask why they're not holding to the traditions, which would include washing your hands before you eat. Jesus responds about defilement. And then Matthew and Mark have a woman's daughter healed. Definitely a lot of stuff happens before Luke and John continue. They are in order, but they just don't speak about it. They skip some stuff. So, Matthew and Mark both have the traditions versus the law conversation. But there's one thing before that in Mark, and that is this verse, Mark 6:56, where it mentions whenever a village or city or country, they brought the sick into the streets. So I will put that verse from Mark. It's only in Mark. And then continue with Matthew and Mark, the traditions versus law. And wherever he entered into villages or cities or country, they laid the sick in the streets and besought him that they might touch, if it were but the border of his garment. And as many as touched him were made whole. Then the story of the scribes and the Pharisees demanding why they don't wash their hands. Matthew starts chapter 15 with, Then came to Jesus scribes and Pharisees, which were of Jerusalem, saying, Why do your disciples transgress the traditions of the elders, for they wash not their hands? So it just says, the Pharisees come to Jesus from Jerusalem and ask the question. Mark has a bit more description. Then came together to him the Pharisees and certain of the scribes which came from Jerusalem, and when they saw some of the disciples eat bread with defiled, that is to say, with unwashed hands, they found fault. For more explanation, the Pharisees and the Jews, except they wash their hands, often eat not, holding the tradition of the elders, and when they come from the market, except they wash, they eat not. And many other things there be, which they have received to hold, as the washing of cups and pots and brazen vessels, and the tables. Verse 5, Then the Pharisees and scribes asked him, Why walk not your disciples according to the tradition of the elders? So the first verse is similar. Then came together to him the Pharisees. That's Mark. Matthew. Then came to Jesus scribes and Pharisees. So then came is both. Then came. Matthew has to Jesus. Mark has together to him. So I'll put together from Mark. It's just an added word in Mark, but I'll be inclusive. To is both. And instead of just saying him, I'll say Jesus from Matthew, because it's better to name people than just to say him. It's more descriptive, it keeps things more clear. Mark has the Pharisees and certain of the scribes. Matthew says scribes and Pharisees. It's not all the Pharisees that are coming to Jesus. So I think I can put scribes first with the explanation and certain of the scribes, and then afterwards have and Pharisees. I'll have in the order of Matthew, but with all the extra words from Mark. Starting with certain from Mark. Certain of the scribes is both. Oh no, just scribes. Matthew just has scribes and Pharisees. Mark has and certain of the scribes. I'll put the and before certain. And also the and before Pharisees, so that'll be both. And Pharisees is both. And Pharisees. Mark continues, which came from Jerusalem. Which were of Jerusalem. Which were of Jerusalem. I guess saying they were of Jerusalem is more general. That's where they live. But saying they came from Jerusalem is more immediate. That's where they just left from. Not that they were elsewhere. I think saying they came from Jerusalem is more important. Because you can believe that, well, actually, it really could go either way. If they're of Jerusalem, that's most likely where they are also from in this instance. I can't say which were came of. If it was come, I could say which were come of Jerusalem. Or which were of Jerusalem. I just gotta pick. I don't know how to put them both in there. Which. But which is both. If I put which were from instead of were of, that would leave room to say they did come from Jerusalem, and that's where they stay. That's where they usually are. They were from Jerusalem. Not were of, but were from. So were is Matthew. And then Mark from Jerusalem. Jerusalem. That's the end in Mark. And just says, and when they saw, yeah, okay, all those extra verses. In Matthew, it just goes right into them saying, why do your disciples transgress? So until they actually say, why do your disciples transgress, which is all the way in verse 5. Why walk not your disciples according to the tradition of the elders? It means the same thing in different words. So verses 2, 3, and 4 are all extra from Mark. And when they saw some of his disciples eat bread with defiled, that is to say, with unwashed hands, they found fault. And many other things there be which they have received to hold, as the washing of cups and pots, brazen vessels, and of tables.